So now, what's up with the Waters and all that? TK with Cuts by Kelly. In this video, we're doing a mid fade to wavelength. So if you like this content, hit the like button. If you learned something from this content, you should subscribe to this channel. And also, if you got a comment or any questions on what I'm doing, just leave that in the comment section. So you see I'm going with the grain around his head, and right here I'm about to go around his swirl. And I comb and cut. So you can see me cutting, I'm combing and I'm cutting, just to make sure I don't put a gap in his head. So some of your wavers, they usually want it a little thick around their crown, but I only do that if they ask me. If they tell me they want wavelength, like even all over, that's what I do. I know some may do it automatically, and that's, to each his own. I typically just stick with whatever length they're gonna have on the head and do that. And if they ask me or say something about their crown, if it's thinning or whatever like that, they feel like it's not as thick in that area, then I would do a higher blade, like a 2 on their crown when I do a 1.5 around the rest of the head. But I'm setting my bottom guideline right now, getting ready for the taper. So obviously I'm going to set my top guideline with my 1 guard, and that's what I'm doing at the top. Now while I'm setting it out, I'm not trying to make it hard. I'm not trying to make the line hard, so I'm using my corners. Here I go setting my middle guideline all the way open, no guard. Now I'm about to start blending. I have my 0 guard on, and I'm doing the same thing I always do. Close, quarter, 3/4, then open. Some advice I could give you for you who are beginning at barbering, my thing is find a system and stick with it. I did some teaching for about 5 years, and I've seen a lot of people like start cutting hair and they continue to switch up, their fade method and all that, and they really don't make no progress. So the best progress I've seen is when they get a system and stick with it, and then once they get better, then they switch it up. So I just want to throw that out there. But you can see me right now, I already did the top part of the fade. Here I am with the bottom. So I did close, quarter, this was 3/4, then I'm gonna open the blade all the way up and connect the 2 sections of the fade. So I'm finished with this area right now. At the end I always go back and then do spot check. So I'm coming to the back of the head and do the same process. And the reason why I do it that way is, time is money. So I'm not trying to spend too much time on one area to try to get it as perfect as possible in that moment. So I go around the head, do my fading, and then I go back and do spot checks in each of the areas. To me, it helps me out because once I go around the head and do all the fading, then it's almost like I'm kind of finished the haircut. So I feel like if I look at my time and realize I got another 15 minutes, I feel like, oh dang, I got a whole bunch of time to kind of clean this fade up and just make it look better. So that's just something I do mentally. You could go through it and do it once over while you're already in that section. But me personally, that's how I do it. So I got my zero guard and I'm closed starting from that middle guideline. So I open up my blade 25% of the way and I'm going up. So um, if you've been following me for a while, you hear this over and over. And I think that's a good thing because um, I always say once you get it in your system, it's so easy to not mess up a haircut because no matter who comes in your chair, you could just go to the system. And so that's why I think it's important for you to have the fundamentals of it all because once you have that, like I literally used it for any hair texture, any type of haircut. I'm doing the same process. So it helps me out because whoever comes in the chair and they say a different type of fade or and they have a different type of hair texture, it's not really overwhelming to me. You know, the fade part, I got it. And so now I'm just trying to shape it up the way they want it. So we're down at the bottom of this fade and we're doing the same process, no guard, close, quarter, 3/4, then open, and that will finish out this fade. Then I'm gonna repeat the same process on the other side, obviously, but I'm not gonna do it on this video. Another thing I want you to keep in mind when you're cutting, you know, I always say this as well, just give it some time, you'll see better because I even look back at some fades I did maybe a year ago and I'm like, damn, I could have, did something better on it. And I'm sure I'm gonna look back at my fades now and say the same thing. I feel like I put out good work, but I know I still have spots that I actually see now when I cut. But man, we all human, so it's hard for me to believe that anybody out here fading always getting the perfect cut. So I'm just putting that out there so you don't think like, man, all these fades that you see on IG and YouTube, like, man, these people cut everybody head perfectly. That's not real. So you see me touching up some spots. I already did the fade process and I'm just going around in that blend and kind of doing a quick run through and touching up some spots. And that's what I mean by my spot check. So I break it down into like three systems. I knock out the weight or set my guidelines and knock out the weight. I fade and then I do my spot check. So I break it down in those three systems because it just makes it easy. I feel like it kind of make it foolproof. So now you can see me, I'm lining it up and just trying to frame out the work. And then, like I said, typically after I line them up, that's when I go back and touch up the blend. As I line them up, you'll see the blend on the side, and I just want to point this out. If you get the process and do it good, you really have a nice fade without doing a spot check. I mean, I just feel like the getting out those imperfections start putting you on a whole different level as far as your fades go. But if you're a beginner and you're just doing that process, man, you're gonna have a decent fade. Where someone will come to you and get their haircut, and all the while you're still getting better. So just think about that. Uh, right now I'm lining them up, and I try on my lineups to not take off too much hair. You know, um, me learning how to cut hair and cutting my people hair, it was always, man, don't push my lining back. So I'm more like a barber who would take off less hair and not even line it up that great before I line it up too hard. And I've had that, still do sometimes. Like I have first time client, I line them up, and it probably won't be that crispy on the first time if I feel like I got to push their hair back. And sometimes they come the next time and be like, hey man, you could go a little bit harder on the line, and I do. So that's one of my flaws. Maybe I could just ask them up front, but I think I just got that built in my system. So I pretty much try not to take off too much hair when I'm doing my lineups. All right, I got them all lined up. It looks pretty good. Now I'm about to do my enhancing. Typically with my enhancing, I do this compressor, and then I'll do the fibers as well. And most of the time it's both. Unless one of my clients tell me what they want specifically, like if they don't want the compressor and they just want the fibers, or if it's the opposite. So, like I said, they're paying for the cut, so I try to listen to what they're saying and give them exactly what they want, no matter if it's something I really don't care for. When you're doing your linings, if I give you a tip, it'll be just have your clippers sharp. Make sure they're set good. Don't set them too hard because you could cut them. But if they're set good, it just makes the lineups easier. And we're coming to the end of this video. This is the before, and we're gonna see the after in a minute. And if you like my work, if you like my explaining my work, man, hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. If you like this content, like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, leave a comment if you have any questions or concerns about what I do. But you can see the finished look. It looks pretty good to me. Hopefully you like it, and if you do, like I said, subscribe. But with that, this is TK with Cuts by Kelly, and I appreciate you.